Yes, Villa fans, and what a great feeling it is to be able to talk after that 2-1 win against Watford at Villa Park. Don't know why, it just seemed like one of those games where you felt like we would beat them, even though we didn't start with a striker. And I know a few people were critical of Dino for that. I was myself as well. I thought he might have started Indiana Vasilev and also Douglas Luiz, but it's all turned out in the end, and big Tyrone Mings has nicked that goal off Esri Konsa. So things are starting to look up now for us. I mean, for the first time in I don't know how long, we're around the bottom three, putting Watford back down in there. And our next game against Bournemouth, who I think won for the first time in about a million years when they beat Brighton. So they've dragged Brighton, or kept Brighton in this as well, and it's looking very congested down the bottom of that Premier League table. I always have a look personally for 9 points from the team who are 18th upwards. So that goes up to 8th place, which, yes, there are teams there where you think, no, they aren't going to go down at all. But how brilliant it is that those teams are in the mix as well. You never know what pressure can do to a team. And there's always one side that will fall away during the second half of the season. Hopefully for us, though, we're starting to pick up now. We've got Samata joining us, of course, from Genk, and he's signed for 8.5 million. Hopefully he'll be able to hit the ground running, get on to a few of those Douglas Luiz through balls, Jackie Grealish through balls, and put the ball in the back of the net. We've already seen that he can head a ball following that goal against Liverpool earlier this season. Then you've got to think: do you put someone up front with Samata? Do you play El Ghazi as a striker with Samata and have Grealish behind him, or Indiana Vasilev, or somebody else? Or do you go with that 3-4-3 with Grealish on the left, allowed to roam, Trezeguet, El Ghazi on the right, and Samata in the middle? Personally, for me, and it was mentioned on Twitter as well, that you see what the experience of Reina has done for the team. You bring in a striker, somebody like a Giroud, even a Benteke, a Premier League striker, and hopefully their know-how in this league helps you to get further away from the relegation danger. And I feel that with somebody like Giroud, Benteke, maybe a different striker, or a Ben Rama, maybe a Bowen on the wing, even an Albrighton, though his name hasn't been mentioned apart from on here, then they could be catalysts, and we might be looking at a mid-table finish instead of just scraping by and staying up. And a good thing for us, obviously, with moving up to 16th and being on 25 points, is that we've dragged other teams into this. As I say, I look at those 9 points, and it wouldn't just be 9 points from 18th, it would be 9 points from 19th. And if you look at 9 points from 20th as well, Norwich have got Brighton, ourselves, and West Ham within their sights, who are outside of the drop zone. Watford and Bournemouth, however, with that 9 points, they're on 23, up to 32. You now have Tottenham. I don't think Tottenham will go down at all. They're safe. The only way for them is up, really, to get above Sheffield United, Wolves, Man United, because they're only 3 points off fifth space. Just again emphasises how tight this Premier League is this season. You've got Southampton on 31 points. What a remarkable turnaround they've had under Hassan Hotel. If hopefully I pronounce his name right. You think back to them getting demolished by Leicester at home, and how they just couldn't get a victory, and then suddenly they're one of the informed teams getting great results. Arsenal, 10th place, they're not going to go down. They're probably not going to do as well as they would hope to do. It's a rebuilding season for Arteta. He needs the summer behind him, that summer transfer window. If he can get people getting fit enough to play the way that he wants to play, they'll be fine. Crystal Palace, always a team who are down there towards the end of the season. Maybe they've got far enough away at the moment, 7 points off the relegation zone. It's only a few wins, as I say, to drag them into it. But there's a belief there. Hodgson, he's doing well. He's a good manager. Palace should be safe. They may slip a little bit. They should be safe. Ancelotti at Everton, of course, has done wonders for them. He's hit the ground running. You would say, though, that draw last night with 13th place Newcastle, that could have a big bearing on both of their seasons. The fact that Newcastle scored two very, very, very late goals has got to affect Everton's confidence. The next game for them will be vitally important, as it will Newcastle. Will Newcastle bounce from that? They'll see it as a point gained, but will they bounce from that, or will they not be able to capitalise on it? You've then got Burnley in a bad run at the moment, and Brighton, but Burnley are 2 points ahead of Brighton. I know Burnley won their last match, but that's 1 win in 5. Brighton have got 1 win in 5 with 2 draws and 2 losses. Of course, the last draw was against ourselves. And the loss to Bournemouth as well. Say you hadn't won for a million years or so. You've got to think that they're going to be dragged in. I mean, Burnley have won 8 games, which isn't too bad really. Brighton have won 6. That's less than us. But they've drawn quite a few, 7, more than anybody really else in the bottom half, apart from Palace and Watford. Then you've got West Ham, 2 games in hand, Leicester and Liverpool. You don't give them much chance against either of those teams, really. But when you look at Leicester's form over the last 5 games, they've won 2 and lost 3. They've been overtaken by Man City, who are now 6 points ahead of them. And then you've got Liverpool, who are just runaway winners of this Premier League, aren't they, really? 13 points clear of Man City with 2 games in hand on them. My days, Liverpool have been a machine this year. Bournemouth, maybe that win over Brighton resurrects them as well, and they start to climb out of this. They believe in Eddie Howe, they believe in the way that they play. They've got Ryan Fraser until at least the end of the season. Callum Wilson coming back in a goal. They should have enough to get out of this. Watford have shown how well they've done. Their first loss since Pearson's first game, if you can call it his first game against Liverpool, was to us last night. They've had a proper bounce, winning so many games under him. And then bottom, you've got Norwich, and you have to feel that Norwich are dead and buried, really. They're not going to survive this, unfortunately. Yes, there's 15 games left, but I just don't see them staying up. Watford and Bournemouth, I can see them getting out of it, and I see ourselves pulling away from it as well, as they, especially if we could get in another Premier League experienced striker, attacking player. There's talk of Enzonzi. I don't feel the need for a central midfielder when we just brought in Danny Drinkwater, who will take time to come good, but he will come good. And his presence alone has sort of lit a fire under Nakamba and Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz has got to be one of the first names on that team sheet, and whilst I don't expect Man City to come back for him at the end of this season, at the end of next season, I wouldn't be surprised if he carries on the way he is, if they're knocking on our door, telling us that they're paying the fee in his contract to bring him back. For me, West Ham should be able to survive. So 4 of those bottom 5, I don't think really will go down. Brighton, Burnley, Newcastle for me are the ones to watch. Saying that, I'd be amiss if I didn't think that West Ham, Bournemouth, Watford were in any kind of trouble. It could be one of those 3, and Brighton or Burnley. I had thought at the start of the season that Brighton, Newcastle and Norwich would all go down. That could still happen. But we'll see as the months unfold. We haven't got too many easy games left, from what I understand. We've played a lot of the teams in the bottom 7 twice already this season. It's the teams in the top 13 who we've got to play again. But if we can get results, I would say Sheffield United at home, we can get some at Southampton away. If we can get some against Arsenal at home, potentially, looking at form. Palace at home. Everton away is going to be difficult. Newcastle away will be difficult, but not undoable. West Ham on that last game of the season, if it's all riding on West Ham, then I wouldn't be surprised to see us beat them. We know what their fans can be like. And you've got Bournemouth as well. And I'd hope that we can get a victory, or at least a point against Bournemouth, because then at least that is points dropped for them and they're not going above us because of us being 2 points clear, of course. It's going to be hard, but with an experienced player in and positivity, and with our defence actually managing to keep teams out in the second half of games over the last couple, then hopefully we will start to climb this league. Anything from 17 upwards, I'd be happy with. And I think we can build on that for next season. But that's a conversation for another day. That's a conversation with Baz. Anyway, up the Villa. Hopefully we can do Leicester. And then we move on to Bournemouth and we can do them. Happy times ahead. Nice one. Up the Villa.